Good evening and welcome to tonight's student member of the board swearing in. At this time, if we could all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all for being here tonight as we say a fond farewell to our 41st student member of the board, Miss Anaya Tedakanda. We affectionately call our SMOB, and as we welcome our 42nd student member of the board, Nate Tinbite. I did want to say, first of all, that Ms. Dixon could not be with us due to family obligations, and Ms. Mandrosky as well, but they wish you well, and you will have an opportunity to see all of them on Thursday. At this time, I did want to acknowledge some of our special guests that we have here. I see former board member, Mr. Mike Dursel, if you could please stand. Yeah. We have former board member, Ms. Jill Ortman-Faust. And I see our 40th student member of the board, Mr. Matt Post, in the audience. We have former board member Bruce Goldenson. And then our very first student member of the board ever, David Naiman. And then we also have with us today Senator Craig Zucker. I'm sorry. And then, of course, how can I forget, we have the County Council Member at Large, Mr. Will Jawanda. So just thank you all for coming today to this important event. We appreciate your presence here. And I think that each of my colleagues would agree with me in saying that our core mission on the school board is to make certain that every child has the academics and the social emotional skills as well as the creative problem solving skills to go on to college or career. So it's really important the role that our student board member represents, and so we're just really happy that we have that representation and know that we could not do that work without your voice. So just really important that we have our student members of the board. Just want to recognize them. And at this time, we wanted to be able to invite Karen Bushell to the front. She is the clerk of the Montgomery County Circuit Court here to administer the swearing in for Mr. Nate Tinbite. So if you will go up, we can do the official swearing in.
Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Nathaniel Tinbite,
I, Nathaniel Tinbite,
do solemnly promise and declare
do solemnly promise and declare
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and that I will be faithful
and that I will be faithful
and bear true allegiance to the state of Maryland
and bear true allegiance to the state of Maryland
and support the Constitution and laws thereof,
and support the Constitution and laws thereof,
and that I will,
to
the best of my skill and judgment, diligently and faithfully, without partiality or prejudice, execute the office of student board member according to the Constitution and laws of this state. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Take care. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ms. Bushell. And at this time, we'll allow Nate to get settled, and he can begin by making a statement.
Good evening, Dr. Smith, board colleagues, friends, family, and staff. I'd like to start off by expressing my deep appreciation to Ananya, the board members and staff, for dedicating so much of your time throughout the past few months for me to successfully transition into my role. You all have already shown me what it means to be sharp, focused, and hardworking leaders in the pursuit of educational excellence. Throughout my academic career, the incredible contributions of our teachers and administrative staff that they make to our school system has not been lost upon me. I'd like to thank a few of the individuals who have helped me build my story and success that are with us tonight. To start, thank you to Mr. Shutt and Mr. Wright and all of my 11th grade teachers that are here today for your patience, flexibility, and guidance. You all have consistently reminded me to get up and do the work for whatever it is that I'm passionate about. Thank you to my Woodland Elementary School principal, Dr. Sergo, Sligo Middle School principals, Mr. Wilson and Mr. Dimmick, and Kennedy High School principal, Mr. Rubens, for always sticking your head out for me and for being a constant stream of support behind every moment. Thank you to my counselors, Ms. Guthrie and Ms. Gamble, that have bared with me through my toughest conversations and for always providing a strong support system for me, even in my weakest moments. Thank you to former board members Eric Gersey, Jill Ortman-Faust, and Matt Post for teaching me how to persevere with reason and how to lead with a steady hand. I'll forever appreciate the countless speech revisions, college advice, conversations in the halls of Carver, car rides to meeting, and so much more. Thank you to my friends Brenna, Mary Beth, Meher, Brooke, Safwan, Shola, Awad, and many others for the extensive conversations of guidance throughout the past few years. And of course, thank you to my mom, dad, brother, cousins, and uncles that are here today for being the loving force in my life, constantly reminding me to be a compassionate figure guided by God. And to Ananya, who is unable to be with us today, thank you. Your consequential work this year has lifted the underrepresented voices of students in this county to unprecedented levels. Since we've met during my freshman year, you've always looked out for me and cared for me as a big sister. Thank you for that. I know that I have big shoes to fill in the year to come. My story in this county began years before I was born. It's the story of my parents, of 2 Ethiopian immigrants who came to this country seeking a better future for their children and finding a better education for them here. I grew up as a talkative little boy with short hair trying to find my place in classrooms full of kids who didn't look like me and schools that were initially built for kids that weren't like me. Over the past few years, or for the past few months, I've spoken with thousands of students who've shared their experience just like that over here. But their voices are hopeful. Every school that I visited, every student that I've spoken to, and every voice that I've heard has echoed the same belief in this school system and in Montgomery County Public Schools. With the countless hours of help from Nick, Rose, Michael, Simon, and many others, we've been able to spread the message that every student deserves a quality education, regardless of their zip code or background. So to the students of this county, I hear you. And this next year, I hope to be a SMOB who listens to the voices of all students, from Damascus to Springbrook, from Lakelands Park to Neilsville, and from Walter Johnson to Blake. The voices and stories of our students will ground my priorities for the year to come. Visiting every secondary school in our county was an experience like no other. Thousands of students came up to me to ask how we're promoting environmental standards in light of global warming, how we're addressing racial inequity as our opportunity gap persists, and how we're ensuring socioeconomic equity even in our most impoverished neighborhoods. I believe that we're on the right path towards answering these questions. I understand that many of these issues are not fully achievable within a single term, but I am confident in this board's ability to pave the path for what's ahead. Thank you so much, and I look forward to getting to work.
Very inspiring words as always. We are definitely looking forward to working with you. So thank you. At this time, we will, in a moment, we'll hear some remarks from Ms. Ananya Tatakonda. She could not be with us. She is in Wyoming, she is doing training for EMT work as her pre-college experience. And so we just want to say that we're so proud of her. We definitely miss her, but she was able to record some remarks on the video before she departed. So we'll play that in a moment. But first I wanted to ask Mr. and Mrs. Tataconda to come to the table so they can receive a few tokens of appreciation that we wanted to give to Ananya. And as they're making their way down here, could I also ask Senator Craig Zucker to come? He wants to present. I'll let you come and talk about what you're going to do.
Sure. Yeah. And can I call Councilmember Wildrando with me?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Congratulations.
Can you?
Where would you like me to be, Madam President? Right here, or?
So I would like her. Can you sit down? That way everybody can hear you. It can be recorded. Yes, push the button on. And Councilmember Jawando, you can have a seat next to him.
Well, thank you very much, Madam President.
Yes, absolutely. The parents, can they come and sit down at the two chairs next to?
Come sit here.
Yes.
Let's fill them up.
Well, one is, let me, on behalf of the state of Maryland, let me congratulate Nate on his victory. And what I have here is an official citation. I'm here representing both the Senate of the state of Maryland from Montgomery County and the House of Delegates from Montgomery County. So this is a delegation citation. I'm also here with Councilmember Will Jawando, so he's here representing the 9 members of the County Council, and he'll say a few words. But this is an official citation from the state of Maryland that I'm presenting with Councilmember Jawando. Let it be hereby known to all that sincere congratulations are offered to Ananya in recognition of her outstanding service as a student representative to Montgomery County Board of Education. Signed this day of July, signed by myself, the chair of the Senate, Montgomery County Senate delegation, and Delegate Mark Corman. He's chair of the Montgomery County House delegation. But this represents the 32 members of the Montgomery County delegation, just offering our sincerest congratulations.
I'll just briefly say we're going to make Ananya come to the county council so we can give her our certificate. But she's going to be going to the UNC Chapel Hill. We're so excited. I was just talking to former board member Jill Ortman-Faust. My wife's a graduate, so we're very excited from her. We were very proud of her before, but she did a great job and will really leave a legacy in real terms, just from the way she carried herself, but also this boundary study. And I wanted to mention that because it took some courage for her to do that. She's done many other things, but I think that in and of itself just shows kind of the dedication she has to this county and to the school system and to this board. And so I know Nate has some big shoes to fill, but he's up to it. And congratulations on her accomplishment. And Nate, congratulations to you.
Before Mr. and Mrs. Tataconda leave, could we get a picture with you all taking with the citation? So I can bring this stuff. Watch the video. And one more thing before you leave, I'm getting I wanted to. This is for Ananya. At this time, we will see the video from Ananya.
Hey everybody, it's me, Ananya, the outgoing 41st student member of the Board of Education. Right now, I'm actually in Lander, Wyoming, training to be an EMT. I'm so sad that I could not be here to celebrate this past year with you all today and look forward to the excellent work my dear friend and successor, Nate Tinbite, will engage in the upcoming year. Before I truly leave the Board of Education and pass the baton on to Nate, I wanted to share one last message with you all that reflects my past year of learning, advocacy, and engagement here on the board. Coming onto the board felt a lot like baptism by fire. Lots of reading, learning, and meetings, even when I was just elected. Little did I know that I would have to accept 850 Hungerford Drive, not as my second, but as my first home this time around, but also that I would gain an incredible extended family through this journey. With each of you, I have developed a personal relationship that transcends meetings, car rides, phone calls, and long conversations about things that we may not have necessarily agreed on. You all have seen me fired up and passionate, sleep deprived and juggling a million things, and have been incredibly supportive and encouraging throughout. Jill and Mike, thank you for being here when I was initially learning about the board, and thank you for your tireless advocacy on behalf of all students. I learned a lot from both of you, and I hope that all of your pursuits currently, after being off of the board, are going absolutely amazing. To Brenda, it has been so great getting to know you as seatmates in closed session. I love hearing about your plethora of experience on the national landscape of education and understanding your perspective and ideas about deeply rooted issues like school segregation and geographic inequities within our county. I look forward to hearing your continued advocacy in the upcoming years to support these communities and all students. To Carla, your relentless advocacy for non-English speakers and newcomers to MCPS is especially admirable. You have the unique ability to apply your personal story of coming here from a different country to better the lives and experiences of students from backgrounds both similar and different from yours. Please continue sharing your story and inspiring other young people of color and immigrants as you have inspired me, my mother, and others already. To Judy, your willingness to describe and convey the harsh realities faced by Black and brown children in our education system is much needed for the system and board. Thank you for being unafraid to be a voice for the voiceless and demand solutions to address issues that have persisted across generations. To Shebra, your calm, collected nature through tough conversations, both at board meetings and behind closed doors, is especially admirable. Your perspective as a parent and community member comes through in each conversation we have about life in general and board issues. You have been a leader for all of us on the board, but also a listener, deep thinker, and empathetic to all of our perspectives and ideas. I have enjoyed talking with you about your children's basketball games as well, and hope they continue flying high with your support and encouragement. To Pat, it seems that everyone compliments your knowledge of MCPS as a system and how different processes work all the time, so I won't focus my full time on that. But I will say that I can ask you about any policy, program, procedure, and its history, and you'll have a perfect, historically relevant answer ready for me. I have enjoyed cracking jokes with you during long meetings, borrowing your sweaters when I'm yet again cold, and hearing stories about your adorable grandchildren. I have learned much from you about finding common ground and compromise over the past year, and I will surely carry these lessons with me throughout my life. To Rebecca, your incredible empathy and understanding of others is absolutely amazing. We have built a great relationship, especially in this latter half of my term, and I have enjoyed our chats about board policy and the exciting things about college life. Our joint advocacy on mental health resource access has been a significant aspect of my time on the board, and I am confident that new initiatives like Mental Health Day will be wildly successful with your continued advocacy. And to Jeanette, being your seatmate this past year has been absolutely amazing and an eye-opening experience. Your stories about your childhood, your love of history, and your experiences as a parent, teacher, and principal are all so important to our work and valuable to learn from. Our short rides from Carver to RM were always filled with rich conversation about the world, issues within education and beyond, and my future aspirations. Thank you for your candid advocacy about the challenges faced by marginalized communities in our county and the deep-rooted approaches we must take to close the opportunity gap. To Kim, Becky, Victoria, and Sabrina, thanks for all your patience through all of my forgotten pony envelopes and for always meeting my sometimes frazzled self with a warm smile and good conversation. To Suzanne, we all miss you here in MCPS, but we know that you are making amazing contributions with our neighbors in Prince George's County. Thank you for talking me through every board topic and helping me comprehend complex policies and language. To Lana, I have so much enjoyed walking into the office and seeing your warm smile as you showed me adorable pictures of Layla and Alexander. You have always been there to help me manage scheduling fiascos, figure out a schedule without driving, and remind me to rest at least some of my weekend, and I could not thank you enough. To Lori Christina, you have been an amazing addition to our office over the last 8 months, and I have learned so much from you about being a fierce female advocate and political and community engagement as it stands today. I will be sure to travel abroad in college as a result of your advice and hope to continue sharing my adventures with you over the coming years. To dear Roland, working with you during the first half of my term was incredibly fun, insightful, and upbeat. We constantly engaged in conversations about the challenges of being from an immigrant background and the privilege we feel to have a rich background and culture to bring with us and share here in the United States. You knew how to make us laugh during an 8-hour board meeting and would always have your office door open for us to walk in and hear or share great stories. We miss you, and I am so grateful to have gotten to know you. Finally, to Dr. Smith, thank you for your relentless advocacy for all students and your genuine willingness to do whatever it takes to make MCPS move forward for all. I will miss our conversations about life, public systems, and the state of education in America, and will surely keep your advice to me about the world and my future dear to my heart as I move forward. To Nate, I know you will be absolutely amazing in your upcoming term. Remember to take time for yourself and smell the roses this year. It will go by before you know it. Remember to stand your ground and be unafraid to disagree, but also build positive relationships with those around you and learn from the perspectives of those different from you. I will be watching the amazing work you do over the coming year and for years to come. To Ms. Shella Cherry, thank you for your tireless advocacy on behalf of MCPS student leadership programs. You have been so incredibly supportive throughout my time in student leadership in MCPS, and I could not thank you enough. I know many students will benefit from the amazing lessons you have to share about life, about leadership, and about advocacy. To my teachers, I can't thank you enough for the after-school makeup tests, lunchtime conversations about 2 weeks of content, and emails over the weekend to submit assignments and discuss my crazy schedule. I wouldn't have been able to balance my academics with this job without your support and help. To the students of MCPS, please continue being as unwilling to compromise and as demanding for change that benefits all. You have been the propelling force through all of my work this year, and I hope you all remain as unafraid to speak your truth as you have been this past year. And finally, to my incredible parents, thank you for being by my side throughout this year as I discussed the long board meetings on our countless car rides home and came home for dinner at 10:30 p.m. Mom and Dad, you instilled in me the value of education from a young age, and for that I am eternally grateful. Without you, I wouldn't have made it through both the joyous and difficult times I was presented with this year. Thank you for being my backbone. This year has been truly eye-opening for me. I have learned about grit and about standing my moral ground, regardless of how difficult conversations or situations become. I have learned about how to work with a dynamic group of people on a common goal, even when we weren't always on the same exact page about some issues. While we have made much progress over this past year, especially making history as an all-woman board, we still have a long way to go to ensure that the student voice and resource access and opportunity are equitable for all. We must ensure that we go all the way as a system and make sure that every student, regardless of their race, background, ethnicity, gender identity, or sexual orientation, has the opportunity to reach their full potential here in MCPS and beyond. This year has fueled me to continue leading a life of service to others, as current events have many others in my generation. If there's one thing I've learned, it's that there are many more problems in the world than people who are willing to get their hands dirty and address them. Thank you all for being some of those wonderful people.
Another inspiring speech. We are just so proud of her. She is so gracious. We miss her, and just wanted to say nicely done. At this time, I wanted to open up the floor for board members to give remarks. We were able to, at our last board meeting, give comments to Ananya directly, but if anybody has anything further they would like to add to Ananya or to welcome Nate, at this time I'll start with board members and ask superintendent and staff if they'd like to make comments, and I'll start with Ms. Wolf.
Thank you. Ananya, is she on? Can she hear us? Okay. Ananya, I haven't known you as long as some of my fellow board members, but in the short time that I have known you, there are two things about you that have impressed me. First and foremost in my mind is your absolute commitment to equity and your belief that students will thrive if we provide them the opportunities. With regard to this, you and I are soulmates. We may have differed at times on what that means, but I never once questioned your commitment to our students. Second, I was most impressed about how you stress being student-centered in decision-making and the need to get input from students. You made sure your constituents were well represented on the board and that their input was considered. We all serve on the school board because we care about the education of our students in this county. Although a student yourself, you cared about what all students needed to succeed, and you fought to carry out that vision. For this, you will be long remembered, and I personally want to thank you for your service on this board. As adults, we often are on the teaching end, but you have reminded me that we can also learn from our students. I wish you well at UNC Chapel Hill. I know that you will make us proud. It brings tears to my eyes. I have a few words for you too, Nate. You thought you were going to get away, didn't you? Nate, I've watched you for 2 years. To say that I'm impressed is an understatement. You have some large shoes to fill, and I have no doubt that you are up to the job. You have testified before the board numerous times, exhibiting skills that it took me years to develop. I look forward to getting to know you better and working toward what I hope is our shared goal of success for all students in MCPS. I do have some advice. Do not read the comments. Okay? You need 5 votes. And enjoy this experience because it is special. Thank you.
Before we go any further, I did want to acknowledge a few special guests have stepped in the room since we started. We have Councilmember Hans Reamer here. We have our former Chief of Staff, Roland Ikaloa, who not yet acknowledged in this video. And we have a former SMOB member, Sebastian Johnson, also here. Okay. And so at this time, we will continue on with comments, and we will go to Ms. Silvestri.
I didn't get a chance to say my thank yous to Ananya,
Okay.
so I'm going to do that now. I have greatly enjoyed, wherever you are, I have greatly enjoyed working with you, Ananya. My only regret is that I didn't get to sit next to you either here in the board room or in closed session so we could get to chit-chat and get to know each other better. Ananya, you are so many things. You're intelligent, you're articulate, you're persistent, you're a well-rounded young woman. But what I admire the most, I think, in retrospect, are your people skills. So warm, so caring, so committed, so willing to work with anyone. I've actually heard her say to me that she loves people. And I think that, along with everything else I've already mentioned, are going to take you a long way in realizing your wildest dreams. Like Ms. Wolf said, I do urge you to please slow down sometimes and stop and smell the roses. You only get to be 17 once. I also want to recognize Ananya's parents, as has been done already, but especially her mom, who was her transportation oftentimes to and from meetings. So when we were getting out at 10 o'clock at night, she was there for her waiting in the parking lot. And so thank you, Mom, for making her dreams come true. And now welcome to Nate. Serving on this board is such an honor and a privilege. It's also fascinating and very important work, and we are honored to have you to be a part of this group to work on all the important issues that we have to work on together. I'm new also, 7 months on the job, so happy to help in anything that you need help with, rides home since we live in the same area. I watched your campaign video to prepare for tonight, just to refresh my memory about your experience, remembering your advocacy about voter registration, your advocacy in Annapolis, and also for ESOL students at our county council. I know that you are deeply knowledgeable about the equity work that we're doing here in MCPS, and so you're going to hit the ground running because we have an exciting year ahead. And then also, just wanted to say that the importance of having the student voice, right? So students and teachers are the ones that are living out all the policies and programs that are implemented here at the board table. So that's something that I didn't get a chance to do so much with Ananya, but I certainly want to be more involved in the work that you do with students as their representatives. In the campaign video, I also saw that you talked about some promises that you made to students in terms of driver's education, improved Wi-Fi, and homework-free weekends. So we'll have to talk more about that. But I want to congratulate you for being here, also being the first Ethiopian American student member of the board. You're very proud of that. And if your parents are in the room, I would love for them to stand and be recognized. Thank you, and welcome to the board.
Thank you, Ms. Silvestre. Dr. Daco.
Okay, for Ananya, as you all know, she's very dependable and very forward-thinking. We have noticed that in the issues that she was concerned with on the board. She believes in the good intentions of people, and this came through in the kinds of things that she fostered. She felt that people were going to be able to support the programs and issues that she was most passionate about. She worked very closely with her constituents, the youth, and her adult constituents. She was very involved in the issues that came before the board. She made sure she was up to date on the material, and she was the first student board member to chair a committee, which is an unusual feat. She always did her research. She was always prepared, and she was also prepared for school. We never heard any concerns from anybody about her not meeting her obligations there as well. We had many meetings. She was always willing to talk about the things that she was concerned about, always very heartfelt kinds of things. And I know that she will be a success, and I hope that she really enjoys being at the University of North Carolina. We think that she will go far, and we thank her for her service. Nate, I think I've known you since you were in 8th grade. And you've always been involved in the political aspects and working with youth and your special causes. And some of them were already mentioned by Ms. Silvestre. You're very outgoing. You are an example of the excellence that's engendered by your parents and your brother and by the staff at Kennedy High School. I can't tell you how proud that you are from Kennedy. I was in that cluster, and you're representing very well that there are students in that cluster who are excellently prepared. And Dr. Rubens is here, and he just got his doctorate.
Yes.
Congratulations. And Mr. Michael Williams is here, who was the founder, one of the founders of the Minority Scholars Programs. He was the force behind it. He started at Walter Johnson with it and has continued. And they have felt a presence, and they have also worked very closely with students in the student government programs. Let's see. He will be successful, and he will consider all viewpoints and will continue to research to find the appropriate actions for the board as a whole. I know that he is going to really be a model for us, and we thank you.
Mrs. O'Neill.
Yes, well, tonight is always a bittersweet night because we say goodbye to an outgoing student member of the board and welcome to the newest member. And, you know, the year goes so fast. It's hard to believe. And every single year that I've served on the board it's been a different experience. The challenges and surprises that come about and are unique every year. And, you know, we've had the privilege of getting to know Ananya and Nate through their activism with MCR, MCJC. So I feel like both of you grew up before our eyes and then became student members of the board. And every student member of the board puts their own spin or advocates for their particular issues that they bring to the table with new ideas. The one thing I will say, every single student member of the board I've ever served with has always done their homework, and then some. I mean, they do their homework, and then they do their board homework. And having a student member of the board is so important because our constituency are the students, and so it's important that that voice is here. And many other jurisdictions, even in the state of Maryland, don't have students who have voting rights, and it's one that the students advocated for. I know that Ananya will do well at UNC Chapel Hill and has this amazing opportunity with her scholarship that includes summer experiences, the one that she is doing now with EMT. I know that she has a particular interest in public health and serving people, and I know that she will continue to do that. I do want to thank Mrs. Tataconda, though, for all her patience and her time in driving Ananya to events. And I know that Jeanette and Jill and others have driven her on occasion, but Mrs. Tataconda is sitting out in the parking lot as we wrapped up late at night. I know that you will miss Ananya. You'll have a little bit of time to yourself, but I know that you will really miss the times you had spent in the car. Just as a parent, I can say, I enjoyed my daughter's chats with me when I had them confined in the car. So Nate, you are the second student from Kennedy that I've served with. Chris Lloyd, not the president of MCA, but student Chris Lloyd, who served with us as a junior and then tried to become state student member of the board. He went on to Princeton and became student body president at Princeton. And he was an incredible young man. I know that each and every one of our student members, beginning with David, has been just an accomplished young person who brought a lot to the boardroom, student perspective, especially in appeals, and policy-making decisions here at the table. So welcome aboard. Keep a journal, because at the end of the year, you're not going to, as you reflect back on all the adventures that you had and people who come before us and you're like, they didn't really say that, did they? So welcome aboard. And Ananya out in Wyoming, have a great year at Chapel Hill and best wishes.
Dr. Smith?
So, Ananya, if you can hear me in Wyoming, I want to say again how much I admire and respect you, and how much I really, really appreciate all that you brought to this organization and this group and to our school system. And I just personally think you're a terrific person. And I wish you the very best, and I look forward to hearing about your Wyoming adventures and your North Carolina adventures in the coming months. So please keep in touch so that you can tell us all your stories about all the things you've done. But you've been terrific, and you really spent a lot of time in very productive struggle this year. And I admire and respect what you did and what you accomplished, and I know there's much more to come. Nate, so we met when you were in your first year of high school, and I was in my first year of this job. And so here we sit together at this table, and I'm very much looking forward to that. Some observations I would offer that I have seen firsthand in many, many hours of budget meetings last year, and in many hearings and public settings and different groups. You stay in the moment, and I admire that in a person. You listen, you think about what's said, you respond to it in a very respectful and direct and forthright way, and you really think about it, and you turn it over and look at it and examine it. And that good thinking will serve you well, as will that staying in the moment and in the conversation, and the excellent listening that I've seen you do in groups of people with difficult, complicated conversation in the group. And so I look forward to this year. I am very much expecting that you will contribute tremendously to our work and help us continue to meet the needs of 164,000 plus pre-K through 12th graders in the coming year. So welcome and congratulations.
Lori Christina Witt.
I just want to first start by thanking Ananya. I was new in my position, and she was extremely welcoming. I will miss Ananya all of our conversations. I could not be more impressed with your intellectual curiosity, your moral clarity, and we are saddened by your departure, but our sadness is tempered by our excitement to see what the future holds for you and what we know that you'll accomplish. Your passion, your commitment to your ideals, and more importantly, your willingness to do the hard work to turn those ideals into a reality will serve you well in the future, and we look forward to hearing from you and about you. And for Nate, welcome. I look forward to the year working with you. And if I might paraphrase Betty Davis, buckle your seatbelt. You're in for the ride of your life.
Very good. So I'll end it. I did give remarks to Ananya while she was here at our last board meeting, but I'll just say I was most impressed by Ananya because this work is difficult, and she held down her schoolwork, and oftentimes people can't see our hearts when we do this work. But being able to work with her, I was able to see her use her head, but I was really able to see her to use her heart, and she thought about all the students and all the decisions that she made. And I don't know if every student knew that she was considering them as she was doing this work. So I just want to say best wishes to her, that I know she will continue to do great things. This world needs good people who are willing to do the hard work, and I know that she's willing to do that hard work. She showed us that by holding down the work that she did to get an IB diploma, right? Doing her board work, coming prepared, as well as always being active and engaged in community work. She was always somewhere doing something. So just wanted to say thank you for your service, and that I'll miss you. She helped me a lot with my girls and making some decisions around social media. I would ask Ananya, okay, so tell me. So just really appreciate her. And I'll just say goodbye for now, but I'm sure we will hear from her and see her later. And I also want to thank her parents too. You know, she couldn't have done this without both of her parents, and a lot of time and hard work goes into that, and you all put in that time and hard work along with her. So we appreciate you for loaning us your child for this past school year. So thank you. And then to Nate. So Nate and I had an opportunity to kind of sit down and talk. I think I had slated for us to have about an hour, and we talked about almost 2, right? Just a very smart, thoughtful young man who is coming to this job with a plan, right? He has a plan in place. He has great questions that I wasn't expecting, but they were good questions. So you let me know that you were thinking about this role even before today's date, right? So I appreciate that, and our students would appreciate knowing that you're doing your work even in advance. And so I'll say to you, whatever you need, I'm here. You have my cell phone number. If you need a ride, I definitely want to be able to do that. I've watched you from afar because you do attend John F. Kennedy High School, where our oldest daughter goes. So I was able to kind of see you, and you might not have seen me, but but he was doing good. He was doing good stuff. Just say I'm just really looking forward. I'm very excited. Our student board members, they bring a lot to the table, and you know, there are times when I leave here thinking about what the student has said, right? And a lot of what you have to say resonates. So I'm really looking forward to that student engagement experience that you're going to bring to the table, right? You've done a lot of work prior to coming on the board, so I know you're capable. I know you're ready. And just want to say welcome, welcome, welcome. Looking forward to it. And so at this time, this concludes our ceremony, but we'll ask all of you to come and join us across the hall in the auditorium for light refreshments. And so thank you all for coming tonight.